A mother can live anywhere she wants, as long as she doesn't trouble her children. That was the line I held in my mouth like a penny. I told myself it was wisdom. I told myself it was love. I sold the old family place. I added about $35,000 from my savings. And I bought a 3-bedroom condo in Jersey City for my son and his wife. I asked for only a small corner room. A little space. A bed. A place to fold my clothes and say my prayers. But when I moved in, I felt like something set down and forgotten. Like a lamp in a hallway. Like a box in the garage. So I kept quiet. I kept very, very quiet. I did not speak. Not until my last move. My name is Annette Morrison. I am 76 years old. I grew up in a small town in western Massachusetts. I learned to sew before my feet touched the pedals. I raised my boy with a needle and thread. I used to believe I had stitched our family together. Strong seams. Clean lines. A life that would hold. One rainy morning, years ago, my husband, Frank, kissed my cheek and said, "See you tonight." He walked out in his construction boots. He did not come back. He slipped on wet steel and never stood up again. The state trooper came to the door. The kitchen clock stopped. My son, Michael, was 10. I remember his lunch pail. The foreman brought it to me with the rest of Frank's things. Inside was the sandwich I had made that morning. Ham with mustard on rye. Not a bite taken. "Mom, I'll do my best," Michael told me. He said it with tears running down his face. He was a little boy with a broken voice. I held him. I told him we would be okay. I promised him a future. I worked until I turned 70. I sat at my sewing machine past midnight. I took in hems. I made church dresses. I patched work pants. In the mornings, I set up a table at the farmer's market and sold vegetables. From a neighbor's farm for a share. Every time the little numbers in my bank book crept up, I would run my finger along the line and think, this will buy a piece of my son's tomorrow. In 2015, Michael got into college. I could not stop smiling. I walked down to a pawn shop on Main Street with Frank's old wedding band in my pocket. I held it in my hand for a long time before I could let it go. "Ma'am," the man said, pulling a jeweler's loop from a drawer. I remember the small click of it. Funny how some sounds never fade. "We can lend about $1,260 on this." "That's fine," I told him. "That'll be fine." When I slid the ring across the glass, I could almost hear Frank in my ear. "Annie, you've done enough. You've suffered enough." "It's okay," I answered in my heart, "as long as our boy is smiling." Time rolled on. Michael finished school and went to work across the river. He called me from a noisy street and told me he had met someone. Her name was Lauren. They married in a little chapel with white ribbons on the end of every pew. When her father took Michael's hand and bowed his head and said, "Please take care of my daughter," I had to step outside. The tears came hard and hot. "Mom, what's wrong?" Lauren asked, touching my arm. "Nothing," I said, and I meant it. "I'm just happy. I wanted Frank to see it. I wanted him in that small chapel, his big hand on Michael's shoulder." But I kept that wish inside. In the spring of 2023, a free clinic at the community center found a small shadow on my scan. A doctor who had the gentlest voice told me, "We don't need to treat it right now. We'll watch. We'll come back in 3 months." "Okay?" He looked me right in the eye. That helped. He told me not to worry. He told me to call if anything changed. That night, Michael phoned. "Mom, move in with us," he said. "Really? We've got the space." I could hear Lauren in the background, laughing at something one of the kids had done. I could hear the clink of dishes. The sound of family. "Thank you," I said, and I had to sit down. "Are you sure I won't be in the way?" "It's fine," he said. "The kids want to live with Grandma." Those words warmed me all the way to the ends of my fingers. The next week, I sold the old place. The farmhouse was over 50 years old. The roof sagged. The well ran rusty. A salvage crew came out with a flatbed and a handshake. They gave me about $840 to take the shell apart and haul off what could be saved. In the front yard, there was a plum tree Frank had planted the summer we got married. Its branches were still thin and stubborn. They had carried our winters like a good neighbor. "Ma'am, what about this tree?" one of the young men asked me. I pressed my lips together. "Cut it," I said, and I turned away. When the axe bit into the wood, it felt like it was biting me. I held my ribs with both hands until the sound stopped. Moving day came. Michael and Lauren picked me up. The new building was 20 stories high, right in downtown Jersey City. Glass. Steel. Bright tile in the lobby. We rode up together in a smooth, fast elevator. "Mrs. Morrison," Lauren said, her voice polite, her smile warm, "if you put some money into the place, we can put your name on the deed too." "No," I told her. "Put it in Michael's name. I'm old. I won't be here forever." I pressed an envelope into my son's palm. My savings, the full amount, about US $35,000. "Use this," I said. He tried to hand it back. I closed his fingers and held them closed. "For your life," I said. "For your children." I set up in a little room off the back of the condo. We had a duplex unit, bedrooms upstairs, a den and a small storage area on the lower level. I put my sewing machine under the window. I stacked my folded quilts. I unrolled my prayer rug. And I thought, finally, after all these years, family. But that hope lasted only 3 months. The first cracks were small. "Mom, where did you get this towel?" Lauren asked one afternoon, pressing it to her nose with 2 fingers. "It smells kind of musty." "I'm sorry," I said. "I'll wash them again. I'll be more careful." I smiled. I smiled because that is what I knew how to do. That night, I lay in my bed and stared at the ceiling. The towel had the same little blue checks as the ones I bought when Michael was in elementary school. He had used them for swimming lessons. I saw him standing in our kitchen, hair dripping, a towel just like that around his shoulders. I put my arm over my eyes and let the tears come. One evening, Michael came to the doorway and leaned on the frame. His face was serious. "Mom," he said, "can we talk?" "Of course," I said, and I folded my hands. "We want to make the upstairs bedroom into a study space for the kids," he said. "Could you move downstairs?" "There's the storage room on the lower level." I felt my ears ring. The storage room was small. It smelled damp. There wasn't a real window, just a narrow little basement slit. That faced a concrete well. "Sure," I said. I smiled again. "I can move. I'll start tomorrow." Because that, I told myself, is what a good mother does. After I moved into the storage room, the house got quiet around me. Breakfast came by itself. I fixed my own plate. I ate at the little table in the corner. I folded my laundry by my bed. I kept the TV volume so low I could barely hear it. My footsteps went soft. My voice went softer. I began to feel like a ghost in my own life. For the first time, I asked myself a hard question in the dark. Is this what my life adds up to? No answer came. Only the square of sky through that narrow well window. Some nights, the moon found me. It looked just like it used to from the back porch in Massachusetts. It was the same cold coin in the same dark sky. Cold dice. That was my comfort. That, and the feel of cloth under my fingers. 3 months went by. On a sticky morning in June, I was downstairs, folding clean shirts and pairing socks. I heard heels on the stairs. A light step. A pause. "Mrs. Morrison? Do you have a minute?" Lauren's voice came through the doorway. She speaks softly. There's always something under it, polite, careful, and firm. By then, I could hear the layers in it. "Yes," I said, and I put down a towel. I looked up. She had on a new summer dress, blue with white flowers. Her hair was blown out and smooth. I ran my hand across my old apron without thinking. My apron was thin at the ties. It was clean, but it would never look new again. "We're thinking about the kid's desk," she said. "We want to move it to a larger space. Could you clear a little more in here, make some room?" "Clear?" I repeated. "Mm-hmm. The boxes I sent down last week," she said. "The ones from your storage unit upstate? You haven't gone through them yet. Have you checked the contents?" Something in my chest tightened like a fist. Those boxes held my life, Frank's photo albums, Michael's preschool handprints in paper paint, the recipe cards from my mother, a dried corsage, a baggie with 3 marbles, memory on top of memory. I'm sorry, I said. I'll take care of it. I'll get them sorted today. Great, she said, smiling. Thank you. Dinner will be at 7. I listened to her steps on the stairs. I listened to the elevator hum behind the wall, and I realized all at once that there was no such thing as Mom's dinner in this house. There was only everyone's dinner. It was a small thing. It was a true thing. It felt like a stitch that had slipped. That night, I opened the first box. The cardboard was soft at the corners. I cut the tape and lifted the flaps. The smell of old paper rose up. I touched a picture of Frank in a shirt that didn't fit his shoulders. I touched a paper sun with Michael's name in block letters. My phone rang. Hello? I said. Annette? It's Tammy. Been a while. Tammy from the sewing class. My friend from years back. We used to sit side by side and measure twice, cut once. We used to bring each other coffee and share pins. Oh, Tammy, I said. It's so good to hear your voice. It's been too long. Annette? You sound good. I'm glad. But hey, about that condo, whose name is on the title? The question came out of nowhere. It knocked the breath out of me. It's in Michael's name, I said. I'm an old woman. I don't need property. On the other end, Tammy went quiet. A long, long quiet. Annette, she said at last, and her voice dropped. It got firm. It got serious. There's a limit to sacrifice. What? Have you ever seen the deed, the purchase and sale agreement? The loan documents? The promissory note? Each word hit me like a nail. No, I said softly. Michael handles all of that. Annette, she almost whispered it. That's foolish. I held the phone tighter. Tammy, please, listen. Last month, my daughter and her husband split up. Did I tell you? She got next to nothing. Do you know why? Because the house was in his name only. I'm so sorry, I said. That's terrible. It's not just my problem, she said. It could be yours. You could be in the same boat. Far off, a summer storm rolled over the Hudson. There was a low grumble of thunder. The heavy air in the condo shifted. It felt suddenly chilly on my skin. Like I said, Michael is a good boy. Every mother believes that at first, Tammy said. I could hear her take a breath. Look, go to the free legal clinic at City Hall. They hold it on Wednesdays. Just talk to someone. No charge. After we hung up, I went downstairs to my room, the storage room. In the corner, on a small shelf, there's a simple frame with Frank's picture in it. He is smiling the way he always smiled when he had half a joke on his tongue. I sat in front of him. I folded my hands. I looked into those kind eyes. Frank, I said softly, have I been wrong? The smile in the picture did not change. But that day, it felt like he was not only kind. It felt like he was asking me a hard question back. The next morning at breakfast, I did a brave thing. At least, it felt brave to me. Michael, I said, keeping my voice steady, could I see the condo deed sometime? Just once. His hand stopped in midair. The spoon hung over his coffee like a little pendulum. Why all of a sudden? Oh, it's nothing. I tried to smile. I ran into Tammy yesterday and the topic came up. That busybody? He said, looking down at his phone, scrolling with his thumb. He was already somewhere else. I'm swamped today. He cut in. We'll do it another time, okay? By the way, can you take the kids to the zoo on Sunday? Lauren and I both have things. Yes, I said. Of course. I said yes, like I always do. When I felt the moment slip away, when I felt him switch the subject and push my question aside, the shame rose up hot in my throat. It tasted like old pennies. Sunday came. The sun was big and bright, but the air still had that early summer stick to it. I took the grandkids to Turtleback Zoo. We stood at the railing and watched the elephants sway. Little hands pressed cold bars. Little mouths made little O's. My oldest grandson tugged on my sleeve. Grandma? He said. Yes, sweetheart, I asked Mom something, he said. I asked why you live in the little room. I could not swallow. What did Mom say? He scrunched up his face. He was trying to get the words just right. She said, Grandma's going to heaven before too long, so she doesn't need a big room. The world dimmed for a second. I could still feel the rail under my hand. I could hear people talking. But my eyes went dark and then came back. I see, I said. That's what Mom said. Uh-huh, he said. He slipped his warm fingers into mine. But I want you to live a long, long time. Because what? Because your peanut butter and jelly triangles are the best in the whole world. That did it. I sat down on a bench. I put my face in my hands. I cried like a child. Right there by the elephants. I tried to turn my head and hide my face. I tried to breathe nice and quiet. But the tears came anyway. My grandson climbed up next to me and leaned his shoulder into mine. He didn't say a word. He didn't have to. On the PATH train home, I made a decision. I will go to the legal clinic at City Hall. Maybe Tammy was right. Maybe I had told myself a story and called it love. And if she was right, if she was, then I had a duty. I had a duty to the woman in Frank's picture. I had a duty to the girl I used to be. I had a duty to show my face to my husband when my time came. 3 days later, I put on my clean cardigan, the soft blue one. I tucked my hair behind my ears. I slipped out after lunch. I took the elevator to the lobby. I walked out into the light and heat and noise of Newark Avenue and caught the bus to City Hall. Senior legal help? The woman at the desk said, kind and brisk. Yes, ma'am. They're right down the hall. Could you fill this out first? She slid a clipboard toward me. At the top, the paper said in bold letters, Senior Financial Protection Intake Form. I picked up the pen. Mom? The voice came from my left. I turned. Michael stood there in his suit, tie loosened, his messenger bag strapped across his chest. He looked surprised. Then he looked at the paper in my hand. Then his face changed. What are you doing here? He asked. Oh, I said, my voice thin, just an errand. His eyes went back to the form. He read the line at the top. He didn't say anything for a breath. When he did speak, his voice was colder than I had ever heard it. Let's go home. We walked to the car without a word. He drove. He turned up the radio louder than usual. The drums and voices filled the spaces where our voices should have been. I looked out the window at the river and the low sky and the cranes. I folded my hands so tightly my knuckles turned white. When we got to the building, Lauren was at the door. Her arms were folded across her chest. Where were you? She said. We were worried. She sounded more angry than worried. I'm sorry, I said. I took a walk. A walk to City Hall? She said, her eyes dropping to my purse. The edge of a brochure stuck out of the zipper. A white corner with green letters, free legal help for seniors. Oh, she said, I see. Michael let out a long, heavy sigh. Mom, he said, do you not trust us? That's not it, I said quickly. You what? He said. Tammy brought up the deed, I said. She asked. It got me thinking. Lauren slapped her palm against the table. The sound cracked across the room. That woman again, she said. Always sticking her nose in. Annette, do you understand how much we think about you, how much we do, and you go running to strangers? I know, I do, but... Lauren's eyes flashed. Then why do you go there in secret? It's embarrassing. Something clicked in me. A new thought. A true one. They aren't upset about what I did. They're upset about who might find out. I'm sorry, I said. I bowed my head. Old habits. Old courtesies. I won't do it again. Promise me, Lauren said. I promise. She went back to the kitchen. I heard the clatter of plates, the running water, the sound of a cupboard door closing too hard. Michael crouched down in front of me. He put his hands on his knees. He looked up at me the way he did when he was 8 and had broken his best toy. Behind the shed? Mom, he said softly, we love you. You know that, right? We just worry. There are so many scams out there. People target seniors. We don't want anyone taking advantage of you. I understand, I said. And about the deed, he went on, you can see it any time. It's just, there's a mortgage, and there are refinance papers, and it's all a little complicated. Let's do it when things are calmer. Okay? His eyes searched my face. They begged me to give him an easy answer. Okay, I said. I trust you. I made my mouth smile. It felt like lifting a heavy box. My cheeks ached. But inside, a small voice spoke in a flat tone. In this house, I am not mom anymore. I am a problem to be managed. That night, I went down to my room. The hum of the building was all around me. The pipes ticked. The elevator breathed. I sat in front of Frank's picture again. Frank, I said, what do I do? The picture said nothing. The window above my bed was small and high. The rain started. It tapped on the glass. It was a steady, patient tap. It sounded like a night many years ago in the Berkshires. When we were newly married and broke and happy, we had put a pot under the leaky spot in the ceiling. We had held hands and laughed. We had believed we could fix anything with enough love and enough time. Late March came. The lights stretched a little longer each evening, but the cold held on to the edges. It was a thin, stubborn cold, the kind that creeps under doors and into bones. I was in the basement storage room, folding warm towels fresh from the dryer. The smell of clean cotton filled the small space. Above me, from the living room, came laughter. Michael's laugh. Lauren's laugh. The kids' high, bright peals. Last week, Michael had told me we were doing a family supper. A big pot on the stove. All of us around the table. Mom, he'd said, standing in the doorway, phone in his hand, already half turned away, we're doing chili on Friday. You can come at 7 too. I believed him. I held on to those words like a handle. We're doing chili on Friday. You can come at 7 too. So, I hurried. I folded warm towels while the dryer still clicked. I stacked shirts by size. I shook out pillowcases and smoothed the seams with my palm. At 6,050, I finally set the last neat pile down. I rinsed my hands in the laundry sink, dried them on my apron, and climbed the stairs. I opened the living room door. Steam rolled out from the kitchen. Garlic hit me first. Onion, too. A thick, meaty smell. It made my stomach wake up. And there they were, my son, my daughter-in-law, the two kids, heads bent over bowls, spoons moving. A laugh hanging in the air like a string still shaking after someone plucks it. Oh, I said. You already started. My voice surprised me. It came out small. It had a tremor in it I had not planned. 4 place settings sat on the table. 4, Michael's, Lauren's. The kids. No spot for me. No bowl. No spoon. No napkin folded to the side. Oh, Mom. Lauren turned. Her eyebrows rose. Surprise moved across her face and then faded. We thought you'd eaten already. Are you done with the laundry? I could feel a dozen thoughts pushing at my ribs. I could hear myself answer anyway. You? Not quite, I said. But nearly. Sorry, she said. Not sorry at all in her tone. The pot's almost empty now. She tipped her chin toward the stove. I walked closer and looked. The big pot that had bubbled all afternoon had a shallow scrape of red sauce, clinging to the bottom. A few pale beans, some soft onion ends. A ring of grease around the sides. It's all right, I said. I'll fix something later. You sure? Lauren's hand was already on the handle. I want to soak the pot. Go ahead, I said. I tried to smile. I think I managed a shape that looked like one from across the room. It did not feel true on my face. As I stepped back into the hall, past the top of the stairs, I heard my grandson ask, Is Grandma not eating? Grandma's full, Michael said. The words slid clean under my ribs. Sharp, cold, precise. I gripped the banister and went down, one step, then another. Back in the storage room, I stood still. The mirror above the small dresser caught me. The light was hard. My hair had more white in it than I remembered. The corners of my eyes held lines I knew, and lines I didn't. A stranger looked back. A smaller woman. A thinner one. Annette Morrison, I said to the glass. When did you get so small? The mirror woman did not answer. She just watched as one tear gathered, then slipped down, finding the path it had traveled before. I opened the little fridge by the wall. I found last night's leftovers. Half a chicken breast, 2 forkfuls of green beans, a small square of cornbread wrapped in wax paper. I set them on a plate and slid it into the microwave. I pressed the button. The motor hummed. The plate turned. My phone rang. Annette, how are you, honey? Tammy? Of all moments, right then. It felt like fate had its hand on the dial. I'm fine, I said. It was not true. My voice said so. It shook in a way that made the lie thin as tissue. You're not, she said. What happened now? Nothing, I said. Just tired. She sniffed out the truth like a dog at the door. Right. And? About that deed? Any progress? I told her about City Hall. About the clipboard. About Michael's face. About the ride home with the radio turned up too loud. About the brochure that stuck out of my purse like a white flag that wasn't a flag at all. There was a long, long quiet. Then Tammy sighed. It came through the line heavy and full. Annette, she said, I went to look at a place yesterday. A place? A senior place, she said. Laurel Ridge Senior Apartments. They've got little one-bedrooms with bright windows and a shared garden out back. There's a bus to the grocery store on Tuesdays. A community room where people play cards in the afternoon. It was clean. It smelled like lemon oil and soup. Tammy, I said, already knowing. I'm moving next month, she said. I'm done leaning on the kids. They've got their lives. I'm not going to spend my last 10 years walking on eggshells in their hallway. Her words landed hard. They made a sound inside me I could not name. But, living away from family? I said. That's... Annette, she said, and her voice sharpened. We've become the thing they're embarrassed about. The story they don't want to tell. The shadow behind the door. Look it in the eye. After we hung up, I sat on the little stool in front of Frank's picture. It's on a small shelf by the bed. Sometimes I light a candle beside it when the evening feels long. Tonight I just put my fingertips on the frame. Frank, I whispered. I think I'm not a mother anymore. He smiled at me from the photo like he always did. Kind. A little amused. Tonight that smile looked tired. Or maybe it was me. The next morning I did something simple. It felt brave anyway. I walked into the kitchen early, before the coffee finished dripping. I took my old lunch container from the cabinet, the one with a blue lid. I set it on the counter and opened the fridge. Mom, Michael said, mug in his hand. What are you doing? I'm going to pack a lunch, I said. You going somewhere? He asked. No, just for midday, so I don't have to come up. Lauren moved past me to the fridge. She pulled the door, peered in, and let it thump shut. She made a small, sharp sound. A laugh with no joy in it. You're going to eat in the storage room anyway, she said. No point putting it in a container. Something thin and taut in me snapped. It was quiet, but I heard it. A little plink, like when a thread breaks and the seam opens. Starting today, I said. I'm using the kitchen when I need to. Michael blinked. What? I'll handle my own laundry. My meals. Everything. I won't be in your way anymore. They both stared. The room felt bright and hot. The window over the sink threw a square of sun onto the tile, and it made the dust show itself. What's this about? Michael said. All of a sudden? It isn't all of a sudden, I said. I took a breath. I let out what had been sitting heavy in my chest. Last night, there was no bowl for me. No spoon, no place set. That was? He waved his hand. Just a mix-up. A mix-up that repeats itself for 6 months? I asked. My voice was steady. It surprised me. That's a pattern. Lauren's chin jutted. Her voice cut. Don't play the victim, Annette. It's always poor me's with you. We're doing our best too. We're stretched thin, in case you haven't noticed. Yes, I said softly. You are. It must be very hard, especially with a burden like me in the house. That's not what I meant, she started. I know what you meant, I said. And I hear it. I turned and went downstairs. I pulled my small suitcase from under the bed. It's the little black one that clicks over the threshold without catching. I set it on the comforter. I opened drawers. I folded 3 shirts. 2 pairs of pants, underthings. Socks rolled into pairs. I moved slow, because slow felt right. Calm. Deliberate. My hands knew how to pack. I had packed for hospital stays, for weddings, for the kind of trips you pray for, and the kind you don't. Mom. Michael's voice carried down the stairs. Then his steps. Then his shape in the doorway. What are you doing? Taking a little trip, I said. Where? His voice sounded young all of a sudden. Higher. I could hear the little boy in it. The one who used to press his hot face into my apron after someone pushed him. On the playground. I haven't decided, I said. That was a lie. In the top drawer of the dresser, under my scarves, there's a brochure Tammy gave me. Laurel Ridge Senior Apartments. A picture of a woman with white hair watering red geraniums. Don't be ridiculous, Michael said. You can't go anywhere. I can, I said. I'll take care of myself. How? He asked. With what money? Where will you live? Don't worry, I said. I have a little saved. That was true. How little he did not know. He had never asked. Lauren came to the door. Her eyes were wet. The tears came quick. What am I supposed to tell people? She cried. What do I say at school? At the building? That we made our mother move out? Do you want people to think we're heartless? For the first time that morning, something like a laugh bubbled up in me. It came gentle. It surprised me as much as it did them. Tell them I moved in with an old friend up in Northampton, I said. Tell them it was my choice. That I wanted the quiet. Mom, Michael said. His eyes shone. He looked full of words he didn't know how to say. Maybe he felt the day he had been held to my chest, and I had said, it's going to be all right. Maybe I felt it too. One thing, I said. I took his hand. I put both of mine around it. It was warm and broad and familiar. Promise me you'll keep the condo deed safe. What? He said, confused, guarded. This place, I said. It's your home. Keep the papers in order. Keep them where you can find them. Maybe he heard what I was really saying. Maybe he didn't. I did not press. I zipped the suitcase. The sound was final. Clean. I pulled the handle up and it clicked into place. I took one last look at the little room that had held me. The narrow window. The square of sky. The hum in the walls. I rolled the case out and up. At the top of the stairs, by the front door, my grandson stood in his socks. He looked small in the morning light. The world fills, and they still look small at the door. Grandma, he said, where are you going? Somewhere a little far, I said. When are you coming back? He asked. His voice was plain, hopeful, unarmed. I stood with my hand on the handle of the suitcase. I looked at his face. I looked at his eyes. I listened to my own breath go in and out, steady as a clock. The words I had lived by lined up inside me. Then they fell quiet, one by one. I bent down and smoothed the hair over his brow with my palm. I let my hand rest there a heartbeat longer than I needed to. I don't know, I whispered. My little grandson wrapped both arms around my suitcase, clinging with all his might. No, don't go. Who's gonna make your peanut butter and jelly triangles? That pure, simple question broke me. The tears came hard and clean, the kind that leave a salt taste on your lips. I'm sorry, I said over and over. I'm sorry. I scooped him up. I kissed his cheek. His skin was warm and soft. He smelled like laundry soap and crayons. Grandma, it's okay, I told him. We'll see each other again. That, too, was a lie. Another one. A soft one, but still a lie. When I pulled the front door closed, I heard my son's voice behind it. Mom, are you really going? I did not turn back. I did not give my face away. Yes, I said. You don't need your mother anymore, do you? Outside, April rain fell in a steady, gentle sheet. I did not open an umbrella. I let it find my hair, my shoulders, my small rolling suitcase. It felt like a blessing and a baptism both. Somewhere along the block, the trees in the median let go, a faint sweetness. Maybe plum. Maybe the last of the pear blossoms. It was the kind of smell that makes you close your eyes and see a different year. April, I thought. The season of new starts. I walked, pulling the little suitcase behind me. I looked for the bus stop that would take me to Laurel Ridge Senior Apartments. The map on my phone looked crowded. The letters were tiny. They blurred and bled and would not hold still. "Ma'am, are you okay?" I looked up. A girl stood with a black backpack and a neat braid down her back. A high schooler. She held a bright umbrella out toward me. "Oh," I said. "Thank you." "I'm fine. Do you want to share?" she asked. "You're getting soaked." "Thank you," I said again. My throat tightened. Kindness will do that to you when you haven't seen it for a while. "I'm trying to find Laurel Ridge," I managed. "Do you know it?" Her face lit. "Laurel Ridge? Senior Apartments? My grandma lived there." "You're close." Down 2 blocks, then left at the big oak. She reached naturally for my suitcase handle. She matched my steps like she'd done it for me all her life. I hadn't known a stranger's easy kindness in 20 years. It felt like stepping into a warm kitchen from the cold. "Where are you coming from?" she asked. "Downtown," I said. "Jersey City. With your family?" I gave a small sound that was half a laugh, half a cough. "Not anymore," I said. "I'm not needed there." She nodded. She didn't push. "Laurel Ridge is nice," she said after a moment. "They have bingo on Thursdays. And the food's pretty decent. My grandma liked the chicken and rice." That's good to hear," I said. At the front desk, Tammy was waiting like she said she would be. She stood and opened her arms. "You're late," she scolded with love. "You had me worried." "I got turned around," I said. "The map and my eyes aren't friends." She held my hand the way you hold a person who might go to pieces if you let go. She walked me to the counter. "This is the friend I told you about," she said to the woman in a navy cardigan. "Ms. Annette Morrison. We's been expecting you, Miss Siding Enshies." "Morrison," the woman said with a brisk kindness I liked right away. "If you'll sign here and initial these 2, we'll get you checked in." We finished the papers. A young man in a polo shirt showed me down the hall. "Here's your room," he said, stepping aside. It was small, maybe the size of a garage bay. But there was a bright window that faced a maple tree. A clean little kitchenette with a sink and 2 burners. A good light over the counter. The bathrooms were shared, down the hall. The showers were at the end of the floor. "This is my room?" I asked. "It is," he said. "Welcome home." When he left, Tammy sat on the edge of the neatly made bed and looked at me, with her head tipped the way she does when she asks the real questions. "Are you okay? Are you lonesome?" "No," I said. "I'm relieved." That was true. It was more space than the storage room. It had a window that saw sky, and there was no need to keep my breath small. The next morning, a chime sounded through the hall. It was soft, not a harsh alarm. The card on the door said, "Breakfast at 7 thouted, dining room." "First time?" a woman asked when I came in. "Yes," I said. She was in her 80s. Bright eyes, soft cardigan, a face that had learned to smile even when it hurt. "I'm Mrs. Turner," she said. "Come sit with me." "Annette," I said. "It's nice to meet you." When I reached for my napkin, I realized I had no fork. "Oh, honey," Mrs. Turner said. "They forgot you." She stood and walked to a small sideboard. She came back with a fork wrapped in a paper sleeve. "Here you go." It was such a little thing. A fork. A small, ordinary kindness. It sank right into my chest and warmed a cold place there. My phone buzzed. I turned it over. "Michael, Mom, where are you?" His voice came out tight. Sharp. Angry. "In a safe place," I said. "You think that's an answer?" I was about to call the police. "I'm sorry," I said. But when I was in that condo, it felt like no one noticed whether I was there or not. There was a long pause. It sounded like breathing through clenched teeth. "Next week is Dad's Day," he said at last. "We're all going out to the cemetery." "I see. You come, okay? And could you get the usual things ready?" "The food. The way you do." A quiet anger rose in me. It stood up all by itself. "Do you want me to come because you want to see me?" I asked. "Or because you want my cooking?" What are you talking about? We're family, he said. Family. The word hurt going out. The tears sat ready in the corners of my eyes. Then why didn't you invite me to last month's remembrance for your father? I asked. There was a service. I didn't get so much as a text, or I heard him go small. We were thinking about your health. Don't lie, I said, soft and flat. Lauren told people. She's not part of this family anymore. In the background, I heard her voice, sharp and quick. What are you saying? That's not... Then explain, I said, steady. Why do I scrub the headstone? Why do I polish the picture frames? Why do I do the chores no one sees and get left out of the part you put on? Instagram? Michael did not answer. Lauren took the phone. Mom, she started, overbright. It's just that lately we've been doing things my folks' way. That's all. It's not that you're not welcome. I see, I said. Then I guess there's no place for me. Don't say that, she said. Please. It's all right, I said. I'm at Laurel Ridge now. I ended the call. Back in my room, I slid open the zipper on my wallet. I looked at the little notebook the bank gives you if you ask. The last line in my savings account read thin. Approx. US 2,240. Small, but mine. The important thing wasn't in the wallet. It was in the secret pocket in my suitcase. I reached in and pulled out a folded sheet in a plastic sleeve. Promissory note and security agreement amount, approx. US 35,000 notarized. A bank manager had stamped it. A notary had signed. It was the day I pressed the envelope into Michael's palm. Frank, I said, looking up at the clean ceiling with no smoke stains, no watermarks. Should I use this? No answer came. Only the low hum of the building. The sound of a cart in the hall. The feeling of my own heart, steady as ever. That night, Tammy knocked on my door. Annette, she said. You look pale. I've been thinking, I said. I set the plastic sleeve on the table. About this. She slid it out and read. Her eyebrows climbed. Well, would you look at that? I asked them to sign it the day we closed, I said. Just in case. This is smart, she said, tapping the notary seal. Very smart. I don't want to use it, I said. My hands shook. It would drive him into a corner. Annette, Tammy said gently, he drove you into one. This isn't revenge. This is protection. I closed my eyes. The old habit started. Frank, I said in my head, help me. The next day, I walked down to the little office near the lobby with a framed print of a red barn on the wall. The sign on the door said, Resident Services. A man with gray at his temples looked up. May I help you? He asked. I have a question, I said. About a document. I heard you used to be a lawyer. He took off his reading glasses and waved me into the chair. I did, he said. Show me. I slid the paper across. He put the glasses back on. He read slow. He traced the notary seal with his thumb. He turned the page. He took his time. When he looked up, his face was kind but serious. This is a real promissory note, he said. Properly notarized. If they signed it, it's enforceable. You could ask for repayment. If they don't pay, you could take it to small claims if the amount fits, or to the county court. You won't automatically have a lien on the condo without a recorded mortgage, but a judgment could become a lien later. He watched my face. I'm not saying you should. I'm saying you can. Thank you, I said. My voice was quiet. That matters. He nodded. Do you want me to call legal aid? They do senior cases. They could talk you through your options. I pressed my palms together on my knees. I looked at the maple leaves outside the window. They were that tender green. They only are in April. Not today, I said. Today I just needed to know I'm not crazy. You're not, he said. You're careful. When I went back to my room, I set the paper in the drawer with my socks. I put my hand on it for a second. Just long enough to feel its cool weight. At dinner, Mrs. Turner waved me over again. They've got meatloaf, she said. It's better than last week. Thank you, I said. I felt more like myself than I had in a long time. Halfway through the meal, my phone buzzed. A text from Michael. Mom, where are you? Please. I laid the phone face down. I took one more bite. I chewed. I swallowed. I let myself sit in the small piece of a small room with a small window and a maple tree outside. Later that night, I sat on the bed and looked at Frank's picture propped up on the dresser. I folded my hands. Frank, I said in a room that belonged to me, I think I'm going to be all right. Outside, the rain started again. It tapped the window the way rain taps all windows. It tapped the way it did the night we put a pot under the leak and laughed. It tapped like a promise kept at last. A small one. But mine. Yes, it's fully enforceable. If they don't repay, a judge can enter a judgment. That judgment can become a lien. In some cases, if things go wrong and keep going wrong, it can even lead to a forced sale. I see, I said. Ms. Morrison, the resident services manager, our former lawyer, asked me gently, "What do you want with your family?" I sat a long time. I set my hands in my lap. I stared at the pattern in the carpet until the shapes steadied. "I just want to be acknowledged," I said at last. Acknowledged? That I tried, I said. That for 30 years, I gave what I had. That's all. His eyes softened. He nodded like he understood. Then start there, he said. Start with the truth. That night, I sent Michael a text. I have something important to talk about. Will you come by Laurel Ridge tomorrow? Just you and me. The reply came right away. Sure. What time? That was it. No heart. No warmth. Only the words. The next morning, I stood in front of the little mirror over my dresser. I looked myself in the eye. Annette Morrison, I said to the woman looking back, this is your last try. Outside my window, the maple tree had brand new leaves. Small, bright, the kind that tremble at the slightest breath of air. I thought about the old leaves that had fallen and fed the roots. I thought about how that is the way of things. Old making room for new. Letting go so something else can grow. At 10 o'clock, I waited for my son in the lounge at Laurel Ridge Senior Apartments. Light poured through wide, clean glass. The April sun was soft and steady. On the low table in front of me, a staff member had set a cup of fresh coffee. It steamed. It smelled like morning used to smell in my old kitchen. The door opened. Michael stepped in. He wore a suit. The knot of his tie was a little loose. His jaw showed a dark afternoon shadow. Tired lived close to his eyes. Mom, what is this? He asked. No hello. No kiss on the cheek. Straight to the point. I slid a plastic sleeve across the table. Inside, the promissory note sat in its quiet way. Neat type. A notary seal. My careful signature. His, too. What is this? He said again, but softer. He picked it up. His hand trembled. Approx. US 35,000? He read. Yes, I said. The money I put in your hand for the down payment. He went pale. The color left his face like someone had turned a knob. I don't know what this is, he said. I've never seen this. The bank has the record of the withdrawal, I said. And that is a notarized agreement. State law recognizes it. It's a real note. I placed a thin book on the table. It was the one our resident services manager loaned me. A basic guide to contracts and promissory notes. Plain English. Tabs stuck out where he had marked pages for me. Mom. He stood up. His voice jumped and broke. It filled the lounge and bounced off the glass. What do you want? Are you trying to scare me? Is this a threat? No, I said. I took a slow sip of coffee. I let my breath move in and out. I felt the cup warm my palms. I want you to acknowledge me, I said. Acknowledge what? That I tried, I said. For 30 years, I kept you fed. I kept you in shoes. I kept you going. I bent and bent. I did my best. He sat down hard. He put his hand to his forehead. He closed his eyes. Mom, he said, his voice low and rough, I'm drowning too. The mortgage. Work. The kids' school. I'm barely keeping my head up. I know, I said. I reached across and took his hand. I held it. It was warm and big and still my boy's hand. I'm not asking you to pay me back, I said. He opened his eyes. They were raw and wet at the edges. Then, what? 2 promises, I said. Just 2. Outside, a sparrow made a small sound. I could see it hop along the fence by the maple. For a moment, I saw a yard in western Massachusetts. A small boy in boots too big, a man with broad shoulders who waved from the truck. First, I said, once a month, bring the kids to see me. It doesn't have to be long. Just come. His eyes darted. He looked left, then right, like the answer might be hidden in the corners of the room. Second, on your Father's Day, I said, include me. Call me, let me stand with you. That's it? He asked. That's it. I pulled the sleeve back. I held it between my fingers. I looked at the neat lines. I looked at the seal. I thought of the afternoon I had carried it home from the bank and tucked it into my suitcase. Insurance, I had told myself. A guard at the door. Then, very slowly, I tore it in half. Mom, what are you doing? He cried. This paper is not as important as what stands between us, I said. I tore the halves again. 4 clean quarters. They fell to the table like white leaves. Quiet. Final. Michael's face crumpled. The tears came strong. It was the first time I had seen my grown son sob like that. He covered his mouth with his hand. He shook. I'm sorry, he said. Mom, I'm so sorry. It's all right, I said. I put my hand on his head. His hair felt the same as it did when he was 8. Soft, warm, familiar. I'm going to live here now, I told him. I won't be moving back. You're not coming home? He asked, eyes wide, voice high. A little boy under the man's face. I don't want to weigh on your life, I said softly. You have your own house to keep, your own small people to raise. He shook his head hard. No, that's not it. Mom, I've decided, I said. The lounge door opened. A staff member peered in, kind and brisk. Ms. Morrison, it's time. Thank you, I said. I'll be right there. Michael looked at me, confused. Where are you going? To the kitchen, I said. They're letting me help. Starting today. The kitchen? For the little one's lunch, I said. The daycare in the community room. I'm making sandwiches. The kind you loved. The tears started again. He pressed the heel of his hand to his eyes. Mom, go, I said. Your wife and children are waiting. I stood up and hugged him. I set my cheek against his shoulder. I held him like I meant it. Because I did. Don't worry about me, I said. I'm going to be happy here. When he was gone, I stood by the lounge window and watched his back go down the walk. He looked small suddenly, smaller than I remembered. Like a boy in a man's jacket. Mom! He turned. He shouted up from the sidewalk. Next week, Dad's Day. Come, okay? Promise me you'll come. I laughed through tears and nodded big, so he could see. The staff member came close and spoke low. Ms. Morrison, the kitchen is ready for you. I'm on my way, I said. I tied on an apron and stepped into the bright, clean room. The air smelled like fresh lettuce and sliced tomatoes. Someone had set out a tray of fruit. The knives were lined in a rail. The counters gleamed. What's on the menu? The young cook asked me. How about a spring slaw and peanut butter and jelly triangles? I said. Simple. Happy. The kind that brings smiles. Perfect, she said. I picked up a knife. My hands remembered. They knew how to move across a board. As I shaved cabbage fine and thin, a picture came to me. My old kitchen in Massachusetts. A boy at the table, kicking his heels against the chair leg. A man laughing as he reached for the salt. The sound of a radio in the next room. The smell of supper done right. Today, I told myself, I will cook for more than one table. For more smiles than I can count. As I spread jelly to the edges of soft white bread, I heard myself humming. A simple tune. A tune I used to sing when the day was long and my hands were busy. Good morning, Ms. Morrison, someone called. It was a morning in May. A sweet wind moved the curtains like someone's breath. A young staffer smiled at my door. In our small New Jersey building, the chime rings at 6 every day. I wake an hour before it, without fail. Morning, I said. It's a beautiful day. In the mirror above my sink, my face looked softer. The lines were the same. The set of my mouth had changed. Ms. Morrison, there's a coffee social at 7. Would you like to come? I'd love to, I said. Through the hall windows, the azaleas out back were flaming pink. In the condo's storage room, I hadn't even had a real window. Here, the light found me every morning whether I asked or not. About 10 of us gathered for coffee and tea. The director poured. The room smelled like cinnamon and lemon oil. Ms. Morrison, over here? Mrs. Morrison. Turner waved. Here, people called me by my name. Not Grandma. Not, hey. My name. Today, the director announced, we've got a special treat, Ms. Morrison's peanut butter and jelly triangles. She was up with the birds. A small hush. Then a happy noise. The kind adults make when something old and good walks into the room. Oh my, someone said. That smell takes me home. My mother used to cut them just like that, another said. Their smiles warmed my chest. In that condo, my cooking had been a nuisance at best. Here, it felt like a gift. Ms. Morrison, phone call for you, a staffer said softly, appearing at the door with the cordless. I wiped my hands on my apron. I stood and reached for the phone. My heart was steady. My breath was calm. Hello? I said. This is Annette. A staffer brought the cordless phone to my table. On the little screen, my son's name showed plain as day. Hello? Mom is now okay? Michael's voice had lost that old edge. It was steady. It was calm. Yes, I said. What's going on? Actually, this weekend, I want to bring the kids over. I want them to see you. Outside the window, a sparrow made a quick, bright sound. Any time, I said. But why the hurry? The other night, one of them cried for you, he said softly. He said, I want Grandma's peanut butter and jelly triangles. She's been sorry for a long time, Mom. On the other end, I heard a small sneeze, then a little voice. Grandma, I want to see you soon. I want that too, I said, and I meant it. When I sat back down at the coffee social, the folks at my table looked at me with warm eyes. Your son? Mrs. Turner asked. Yes, I said. The grandkids are coming this weekend. That's wonderful, she said. Mrs. Turner took my hand. Her palm was warm. That, for some reason, made my eyes sting. Annette, what is it? She asked. Nothing, I said, and then I told the truth. I wasn't sure a day like this would come. That afternoon, I helped in the community garden behind Laurel Ridge. I've always loved working with dirt. Back in Massachusetts, I would turn the soil with a short-handled spade and talk to the beans like they were babies. Ms. Morrison, where should we plant these? A young staffer asked, holding a flat of marigolds. Right there, I said, pointing. Where the sun hits most of the morning. My phone buzzed. A text from Michael. Mom, I'm truly sorry about before. Lauren is too. It took losing you to understand what we lost. I stood there with the marigolds in my hands, trying to shape an answer. Another text came in. P.S. Next week is Dad's Day. We'll come as a whole family to pick you up. Please stay well till then. The words blurred. The screen went soft. Ms. Morrison, you okay? Yes, I said. It's just breezy out here. After supper, I went back to my room. I looked at Frank's picture on my dresser and spoke to him like I always do. Frank, are you watching? It seems I'm needed again. By our family. He smiled back the way he always smiles. Tonight, that smile looked proud. I slid under my quilt and glanced at the note on my corkboard. Tomorrow's plan, 6000. Wake up, 6003. Water the garden, 7. 0 breakfast prep, PB&J station, 9:00. Reading group, 11:30. Set out lunch trays. Every one of those lines is a job that needs me. I remembered something Mrs. Turner once said over tea when the afternoon felt long. We have worth just by being here, she told me. Just by breathing in and out. That's enough. I turned out the light. Through the window I could see the soft round of the moon. I let a quiet smile come. Here, there are no burdens. No useless folks. There is simply one person named Annette Morrison. At 5 in the morning, I woke in the gray before dawn. A thin May light slipped around the blinds. The edges of the carpet glowed. At Laurel Ridge, the breakfast chime would not ring for another hour. "Oh, that's right," I said aloud. "Today I'm on sandwich duty." I swung my legs over the side of the bed. I put my palm to the window. The cool glass took me back to January mornings in western Massachusetts. Back when Michael was little, I'd pack his lunch by the wood stove before the bus came. Peanut butter. Jelly. Triangles cut just so. Back then, we boiled water in a kettle that whistled. Now, the electric kettle purrs and clicks. Progress, I thought. Or drift. I couldn't say which. In the mirror above my sink, my face surprised me. In 3 weeks here, the hollows had softened. In that condo's storage room, I had dreaded my own reflection. Here, the lines on my face looked like what they are, the marks of a life. The proof that I've been here. "Ms. Morrison, you're up early," the young cook said when I stepped into the kitchen. "I'm thinking grape on half, strawberry on the rest," I told her. "With the crusts cut off for the little ones. I've always had a feel for how thick the spread should be." "We're in for a treat then," she said, smiling. "And we've got a special group coming this morning." She wore a look that said, "Surprise." By 6:30, the smell of toasted bread drifted through the dining room. The director came in and leaned close. "Ms. Morrison," he murmured, "a preschool class from the neighborhood is dropping by for an intergenerational visit. If it's all right, we'd love to serve your sandwiches to the kids and our residents together." "Oh my," I said. My heart thumped a little faster. I could already see small hands reaching. I could hear the sound they'd make when they bit down. "I'd be honored," I said. "But why me?" He grinned. "A while back, your son told us something. He said, 'My mom's peanut butter and jelly triangles are the best in the world.'" Heat rose to my eyes. I blinked. The words of a child, held and saved by his father. Handed back to me like a ribbon on a gift. At 7, folks from our floor shuffled in one by one. We set out extra plates, extra cups, extra napkins. "These are for the little ones," a staffer said, laying down small, sturdy plates painted with animals. Seeing them, I thought of Michael's lunchbox in first grade. Blue plastic. A truck on the front. I used to tuck a note under the sandwich. "You've got this, kiddo." "Good morning," came a chorus from the doorway. A troop of preschoolers filed in, their teachers guiding them. Small sneakers, bright shirts, eager eyes. "Everyone," the director said, "this is Ms. Small's one. Morrison. She made our special sandwiches today." A dozen pairs of eyes turned my way. Pure. Expecting. I smiled without trying. "Who likes peanut butter and jelly?" I called. "Me," they chirped. Every hand flew up. "Today we're making magic triangles," I said, wiggling my fingers. "Be sure to tell your moms and dads how to do it." I made a little show of it in the kitchen window. The butter knife, the spread to the edges, the careful, clean cut. "Wow, it's shiny." Her hands move so fast. A little girl tugged the corner of my apron. "What is it, sweetheart? My grandma used to make sandwiches like this," she whispered. "But she's gone now. I wanted to gather her up right then." "Then today is special," I said. "We'll make an extra one. For your grandma, too." Her eyes lit. Big. Bright. Brave. The lemonade and cookies social started. The preschoolers sat with our residents. The room filled with a happy hum. I slipped back to the counter and checked my phone. A new message from Michael. "Mom, can we stop by this afternoon? It's last minute, but Lauren really wants to see you." My fingers trembled. I hadn't heard from Lauren directly since the day I left. "Of course. What time?" I typed. The dots came, then his reply. "Around 3. And there's something we want to do without telling the kids yet." Mysterious words. A little worry fluttered in my chest. By the time the social wound down and the preschoolers waved their goodbyes, the receptionist had stepped into the dining room. "Ms. Morrison," she called. "There's a delivery for you up front." On my way to the lobby, I passed the garden door. The marigolds we had set in the ground were already turning their faces toward the light. That made me think of the words I'd written to myself the night before. The schedule that held me like a gentle hand. 6,000, wake up. 6,030, water the garden. 7,000, breakfast prep, PB&J station. 9,000, reading group. 11:30, set out lunch trays. All symbol, all small, all proof. Proof that I belong. At the desk, a cardboard box waited. The receptionist smiled. From your family, she said. I pressed my palm to the top. I stood still a moment, listening to my own breath. I could hear the soft shuffle of walkers down the hall. I could hear a laugh from the rec room. Somewhere, a radio played Frank Sinatra, as smooth and steady as it ever was. Should I open it here? I asked. Ahead, she said. Inside the box lay a note on top in Michael's hand. Mom, we're on our way at 3. Thought we'd send these ahead. Under the note, wrapped in tissue, was a set of small things that said big things. A jar of grape jelly, a loaf of soft white bread, and a brand new apron with my name stitched across the front. A-N-net, the needle had spelled, with the capital letters a little too close together, like a child had helped. And tucked into the corner, a drawing crayon lines. Wild and sure 2 stick figures holding hands under a big round sun. Grandma and me, read the blocky letters. PBJ Day. The room around me went a little soft. I held the apron to my chest. I looked up at the ceiling like I always do when I want to talk to Frank. Do you see this? I whispered. Do you see what's happening? For the first time in a long time, I did not ask for help. I simply said thank you. At 9, I went to reading group. We took turns with a short story. The words moved slow and friendly around the circle. At 11:30, I set out lunch trays. I poured milk. I folded napkins. I moved the way my own mother used to move around a church kitchen, steady, practiced, useful. In the early afternoon, I stepped outside for a minute. A warm breeze carried the smell of cut grass. The maple tree outside my window danced its new leaves. A robin hopped along the fence and cocked its head like it was listening in. Mrs. Turner found me there. Your face looks lighter, she said. It is, I said. She patted my shoulder. I told you, she said. We have worth just by breathing, just by showing up to our own lives. I nodded. There are no burdens here, I said. No useless people, just me. Just Annette. Just Annette, she said, and we both smiled. 3 o'clock was coming. My son, my daughter-in-law, the little ones. A surprise of some kind in their pockets. I smoothed the apron I still held against my heart. I watched the parking lot. I waited, not with fear but with something that felt a lot like hope. There on the side table sat a bundle I knew by heart. Someone had wrapped it in a big checked dish towel, tied in a careful knot. I loosened the corner, lifted the cloth, and there it was. Oh, my old Dutch oven. The heavy, black cast-iron pot I had cooked in for 40 years. I could feel its weight like a memory in my hands. I had left it behind the day I walked out of that condo. I thought I would never see it again. On the underside of the lid, a small sticky note waited. Passing Mom's recipes to the next generation. Lauren. My tears found the curve of the lid and slid along it. That cold, distant daughter-in-law had written those words. That same woman. It knocked the breath out of me in the kindest way. At 3 in the afternoon, Michael showed up alone. Mom, please. Take this. He held out a thick envelope. I opened it. Inside lay a certified copy of the condo deed and a fresh set of house keys in a little zip bag. What is this? I asked. We made a decision, he said. Lauren and I. We're putting your name back on the deed. It should have been there from the start. His eyes shone with the very same tears I remembered from the day everything began to turn. The day he said, Mom, move in with us. The day I believed. But, Michael, that's... Wait, he said, taking a breath like he was about to dive. There's more. He set his shoulders. He spoke slowly, the way you do when each word costs something. We're selling the condo, he said. We'll use the proceeds and the money you gave us to buy a smaller place. A simple house with a yard. We'll make it fit the family we actually are." "Why?" I asked, though I already knew. "Because we finally saw it," he said, his hand shaking. "That big, glossy place wasn't a home for us. It was too much. It swallowed us." I watched his mouth as he worked to keep his voice steady. "When you left, I learned a hard truth," he whispered. "Family isn't about square footage. Family needs warm hearts," I said, finishing his thought. "Not big rooms." I reached and took his trembling hand. I held it. He squeezed back like he was holding on. "Mom," he said, looking straight at me, "will you help us look? This time, you pick the neighborhood. Close to a park. Close to the bus. Wherever you like." Out the window, a soft wind moved the maple leaves, a sound like a low hush. I remembered Mrs. Turner's words from down the hall at Laurel Ridge. "Life gives us a second act," she had told me over tea, certain and kind. "Thank you," I said to my son. "Thank you." But, I looked across the courtyard. Mr. Daniels bent over the flower bed, tamping fresh soil around a row of marigolds. On the bench by the door, two of our residents leaned close, their heads together, their conversation easy as a slow song. "I want to keep working here a while," I said. "They need me." "And the preschoolers from the neighborhood, do you remember? They promised they'd come visit again." "I don't want to leave just now." His eyes clouded a little. It was a small sadness. He nodded anyway. "Okay," he said at last. "I'll respect that. I'll be there on weekends," I told him. "Without fail. I'll come spoil those kids of yours and fold your laundry if you let me." He laughed a little through his nose. He wiped at the corner of his eye. "Deal," he said. At dusk, after he left, I stood on the front walk and looked up. The sky wore that soft pink it puts on for just a few minutes in June. Through a gap in the cloud, one bright star had already come. "Frank," I said, looking up, "thank you for watching." At Laurel Ridge the next morning, I knelt by the rose bushes and clipped away the spent blooms. The early June sun brushed my shoulder like a gentle hand. I had lived here almost a month. It had become a good month. "Ms. Morrison, you've got mail," a staffer called. She held out an envelope addressed, in Michael's familiar hand, to Mom. When I slid the paper free, a photo slipped out and fell into my palm. A new picture. A small yard, a low white fence, a little patch of garden. Michael and Lauren stood with the kids between them, everyone in t-shirts and sneakers, grinning. In the background, no high-rise, no glass tower, no condo. The letter read, "Mom, as promised, we found a new place. A small, sunny house with a yard. Your room is ready. Come anytime, even just for an afternoon." Heat rose behind my eyes. The page itself felt warm. "Good news?" a staffer asked. "Yes," I said. "A family photo. From my son." She peeked at the picture and smiled. What a lovely family. Her simple words opened something tender in my chest. "Grandma!" The call came from behind me. I turned. Michael and Lauren were there with the kids, all in a little cluster of light. In Lauren's hands, the big dish towel-wrapped bundle I knew. "Oh, what brings you here today?" I asked. "Today is special," Michael said, rubbing the back of his neck, a little shy for once. "It's the day Dad passed. We were hoping, would you come to the cemetery with us?" Lauren stepped forward. She didn't bow. This is America, but she came close, and she looked me straight in the eye, and her voice held tears. "Annette, I'm truly sorry," she said, "for all of it." Shock lifted the breath right out of me. That proud, sharp-edged woman had come to say the hard thing with her own mouth. "It's all right," I started. "That's past." "No," she said, the word catching. "Please, let me say it. I spent my whole marriage thinking of you as extra. An add-on. But the truth is, my mother died when I was young. I never learned how to be close to a mother-in-law. I didn't know the steps. I didn't know the words." A breeze passed. One pink rose petal let go and twirled down between us. "Grandma, aren't you coming home?" my grandson asked, tugging at my skirt. His eyes were clear and brave. I crouched and looked him in the face. Sweetheart, I said. I live here now. I have lots of friends here and good work to do. But I'm going to see you every weekend. That's a promise. Pinky promise? He asked, holding up his small finger. Pinky promise, I said, and hooked mine with his. He grinned so wide the day got bigger. At the cemetery, we set flowers in a simple vase and stood quiet for a minute. No incense. Just silence. Just breath. Just the sound of a bird in a high branch. Dad, Michael said softly, I'm sorry I made Mom lonely. He forgives you, I said. I know he does. I placed my hand on the cool, smooth stone. The chill of it carried me back to the warm feel of Frank's palm. A perfect opposite that still somehow matched. On the way back, Lauren stopped on the sidewalk, opened her tote, and pulled out an old, worn binder. What's that? I asked. My mother's recipe book, she said. I want to cook one of her meals with you today. If you'll let me. I want to learn it the right way. Without thinking, I reached and took her hand. I squeezed. She squeezed back. In the Laurel Ridge kitchen that afternoon, the three of us stood shoulder to shoulder, Michael at the sink, Lauren at the stove, me with a knife and a board. We made a meal with 3 roots, my mother's meatloaf trick with the grated onion, Lauren's mother's chicken and rice, and something new for the grandkids that we invented together on the spot. We laughed when the salt spilled. We tasted. We corrected. We tasted again. The room smelled like both past and future. After supper, Michael did a thing he hardly ever does. He brought out a small bottle. Mom, he said, how about a little whiskey? It's been a while, I said, smiling. We touched glasses. We sipped. The taste was warm and sharp. He sat a long time and then spoke without looking at me. Mom, what I did, putting you in that basement room, it was cruel. I need to say it out loud. It's done, I said. Please, let me finish. His voice was steady but low. After you left, I realized something. Family isn't about sharing a roof. It's about how we treat each other under that roof. Moonlight slipped across the small back porch and lay over our feet like a soft cloth. Inside, the kids played a card game, and Lauren laughed at something they said. Mom, he asked, will you keep being our mother? Will you keep being you? I couldn't help it. I smiled. When did I ever stop? I said. The next morning, as they loaded the kids into the car, I handed Michael a small package wrapped in brown paper and string. What's this? He asked. My starter, I said. Sourdough. She's 5 years old and feisty. Let's begin a batch together in your new kitchen. First Sunday next month. Lauren's eyes filled. Yes, she said. We'll be there. First Sunday. I waved until their car turned the corner and disappeared. My hand fell. When I turned, Mrs. Bakehummel, Turner stood at my elbow, quiet as a cat. Looks like those kids have changed, she said, eyes kind and bright. Maybe, I said, or maybe I have. A breeze came. The maple leaves above us shivered and murmured. Old leaves fall. New leaves come. That is how trees live. That is how families keep going, too, shifting shape, staying true. To you. What kind of talks are you having with your parents these days? Are there words you still want to say? Are there words you still need to hear? Are you telling yourself, maybe next time, and putting it off again? Are you calling it just normal and forgetting to say thank you? I hope this story gives you a gentle nudge to speak that one small word. Thank you. Family love does not travel in silence. It needs voices. It needs soft, brave words. It needs to be said out loud.